Excuse me.
And welcome everybody to Saturday Night Shenanigans. I'm Mongo.
And I'm Jeff, aka Smokey.
That's right. Gotta have crew Smokey on the boat. Wow, we're not on the boat on the show to talk about what a week in wrestling. And I figure can't have shenanigans without someone who causes shenanigans in real life with me. So thank you for coming on and shooting the shit with me on a Saturday night about wrestling.
Hey, no problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Always, I'm so excited because it's been such a great week in wrestling from Wednesday Grand Slam to Saturday Collision. There's been so many good matches. It felt like a pay per view week, honestly.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Wednesday was outstanding, and then I mean, you had some great matches tonight too. They really, I thought, put on a good week of shows.
I was really impressed with how much they put into just even the build up at first because when they announced Grand Slam, you're like, oh, it's kind of a gimmick. It is what it is. But they're going to Australia now. They're kind of made it a special rampage, and I know they kind of run Arthur Ashe into the ground, but I still thought the vibe was cool, the interest was cool, and then starting out with Nigel versus Bryan was just the coolest thing. I mean, I know you're a big Ring of Honor guy. We've talked about many times, including before tonight. What is your
Mhm.
thoughts about Nigel coming back to the ring and having this match with Bryan?
I thought it was great. We, whether you were a Ring of Honor fan or not, it's been mentioned enough throughout kind of the years, in my opinion, that these guys had a rivalry, and I thought Nigel's did a great job of popping this from the very start, very subtly. And then he just got to the point where he was flat out calling out. And I like it because, I thought it was a great build up for something that had a really big gap in between it. You had to try to fill that time frame. Both guys going different places, injuries, possible ends of careers, and then coming back to this moment. But I really enjoyed the match, and I thought it was, like I said, a great build up to it.
I liked it. A lot of people criticized because it was just Nigel building it, but it was kind of like Kevin Owens building Stone Cold or John Cena building The Undertaker. I like those solo builds because it really shows who's good on the mic and who can tell a story. And I mean, you and Rachel both said that's why if you listen to the intro on our episode, you and Rachel are both there. Like Nigel could come back. He was just signed to the commentary team, and you called it right away. Like he was digging at Brian for a whole year on commentary, and
Hmm.
we finally got that match after 13 years, and he didn't look like he lost a step to me. He was still a technical guru. I think he could still go for another couple months or have a match here and there. Like I'm not saying every week, but
Yes,
for a
I
pay per view.
Yeah, I mean, he could do the appearances, on doing live, doing talking stuff, building up things, and then the work wise and bump wise, being less. But yeah, I thought he looked really good. Obviously, you can see a little bit of timing issues at times, but that's going to happen. And also, I feel like that's good in a way because it makes it more believable. Like we said, suspend my disbelief. I know what's fuck's going on, but if you can show me at times that you're human, you make errors. It's not just here we go, here we go, here we go. I'm good with that because, like I said, that makes some human error involved, and that makes to me more real.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved that chemistry they had. They kind of like once you said, once the miscues kind of went away and they got going, you had some of the callbacks, like him doing the headstand on the turnbuckle, getting kicked in the face,
Oh,
him getting pulled into the ring post over and over, just like the classic matches. And they know each other so well, so they're on the mat, rolling around, stretching each other out, and that was the right match to start. I thought it was gonna be main event, but that was the right match to start the show because that got that crowd electric. When final countdown hit, that place exploded.
yeah, yes, it did. That was great pop for both of them, actually. I mean, but yeah, I agree. I was kind of the same way. I thought, oh, that's main event, but when they started, it was like, oh, here we go.
I know, and I still think it's funny. People complain that Oasis didn't show up to play him to the ring. I'm like, I don't think he meant they were literally showing up.
No,
I was like,
I
that's his
don't.
theme song.
Correct. And well, Oasis didn't need to show up. Let's be honest.
Right, we're just lucky that Liam and Noel are gonna actually stay together probably for at least a few concerts overseas. We'll see. My money is on the under that they won't last, but that's just me
Correct.
because they have a rivalry. Now we
Always
go.
have. Always.
Now we go to your favorite, who every time, and you can ask Emily, she's in the comments. Every time I see him, I do it now because of Jeff, the Messiah of the Backbreaker, Roderick Strong,
Oh,
taking on Hook for the FTW Championship. I thought this match was sneaky good. I enjoyed it. I know it wasn't really everyone's cup of tea, but I love Roderick Strong. We've talked about him off air tonight, and in general, he's so fun, and I can't not say it. Every time I see him, I hear Jeff's voice in my head. I'm always like the Messiah of the Backbreaker.
oh, I love it. I love it. I just love the guy the way he works, and I thought he really put Hook over in this. Honestly, I feel like this match really the intention was to get Hook over, and then I like it. I like that they retired the FTW belt. I feel like that was maybe the right move to do. It's kind of, Jericho did a little thing to try to turn it around and give a different direction, but I think it's about time.
No, and I thought it was fitting on his 13th title defense that he retired it to his dad in the Shadow of Queens. How
Hmm.
so many years after the creation, like I liked all the pageantry with it, and I wasn't expecting it. So I think when he went over to his dad with it, like we all knew what was going to happen right away, and like Taz broke. I think that's what got me. Is Taz broke. He started like
Hmm.
welling up, cutting onions, and you could see the cameraman trying to look, and Taz giving him a look like, "Don't you film this right now."
Yeah, but he caught him with the just that little subtle wipe he got.
uh, and I hope
It
this
was a
kind
good
of
moment. It was a good
I
moment.
and I hope this pushes Hook into the next stratosphere because he doesn't need that title, and I think it served its purpose. It's like you said, Roderick Strong was a good like benchmark for him. Like, can you go with someone who's known to be a ring general, like someone like Roderick who can lead a match, call a match, and make everyone look good? And he did. And then Hook even cut a decent promo after. So I think Hook's really started to
Hmm.
come into his own. And I just really hope they can lock him down because if rumors are true, I know he wants to kind of make the jump eventually too. But he's, I think, one of those young stars. There's something there. I think they need to him and Garcia uh,
Hmm.
and Nick Wayne. I think you have a good
Oh yeah.
core of future guys here that you need to kind of push, get him to the top, get him to that next level, and I think that was a good first step.
Yes, I agree. Like I said, it definitely kind of now is separating him from just that stigma of that belt. Now going, hey, now I'm a possible TNT guy, or you know, the international or whatever. He can start boosting into different venues of belts now to try to elevate. So I like that. And I think that is necessary.
I think so, and you just segued perfect by saying elevate because that's the next one that I enjoyed the Young Bucks versus United Empire, Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. Holy shit, was that a tag match? This shows that when they want to make their tag division the best in the world, it can be the best in the world. I know there's a lot of focus on the trios division. I think that's what's pulling away from the tag division and also the Bucks being the champions. But that was a fantastic match. And holy crap, Fletcher is the future. Fletcher is definitely the future as well.
I agree 100%. Kyle Fletcher over the course, I guess it's been about the last year to year and a half ish. I mean, wow, he has come a long way. And yeah, agreed 100% on the tag stuff as well. This was a great tag match, very entertaining. We knew we were going to get to see a ton of spots. You got Bucks and Will alone, and Fletcher definitely held his own, with that type of stuff too. So very entertaining. And I'll throw it out for all the Bucks haters because I've always been a Buck fan, through good and bad. But really, I mean, this is their longest time. They really haven't ever held the belts. Like, most stuff they had previously was trios with the elite, and that was what, twice?
Right.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So really, any of them haters, you can't really hate too much. I mean, they're great heels right now. We all hate them just
Right? They're doing their
because.
job.
Exactly. They're drawing the heat. They're putting on good matches with the people that they're working with. So, I thought it was a very enjoyable match. Very enjoyable.
And I liked the all the United Empire logos and signage and because Mark Davis is coming back and yeah, throw those crowns up because he's coming back and I'm hoping, especially when we get to Collision a little bit later, that we've seen maybe the Don Callis family might go in a different direction. Maybe we'll have United Empire split off because yeah, I know factions, but I think there's something there to get Kyle Fletcher and Mark those tag titles eventually. and then Will being a singles and having that faction with the gold. I think you make the United Empire, you get Will a singles title and Kyle and Mark the tag titles. You could make that
Hmm.
faction popular in AEW real quick.
Oh yeah, and even possibly get him involved in trios. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about with the trios division being very hot right now. I mean, that'd be a good place too because well, the Osprey Fletcher thing, they keep popping the best friend thing. They keep popping, these different things. So they can't stay separated because they get together and they mesh and then everything else. And then Don's got to come in and do his thing. So I feel like that would definitely be the direction. And yes, I want to see Aussie Open win the AEW tag titles.
I know,
Definitely
and
before they split because Fletcher's shown what he can do. So
yeah,
it's only a matter of time before there will be no Aussie Open. So I love to see them get a run before that point in time.
I know we. I don't want to see poor Mark Davis, get Genetti'd because he's so talented,
Yes, and exactly. But I mean, the other two guys he's with are so fucking hot. You
right?
can't put their fire out right now. So I mean, I hate to see him get left behind too. So that's why I really hope when he comes back, they get that push that they were gonna get. I really hope.
I know, and I just keep thinking with Wrestle Dynasty in Japan, and I'm going to the Tokyo Dome. Like, there's got to be some sort of crossover. I mean, we've been having Jeff Cobb teasing he wants to come back to EW. I want to see him against Samoa Joe more than anything.
Hmm.
That's my dream match for those two. And I'm just curious. I mean, you have everyone going to Stardom now. You have everyone going to Mexico. You have everyone going to New Japan and Japan. I like that this is all internationally spun again. It seems like we're getting to showcase all these talents. We're getting to showcase all these people coming in that other companies kind of just keep it in a bubble, and I kind of like that spread out. You never know who's going to come through the not so forbidden door anymore.
Right, right. Well, and look at Impact in that, conversation. They're working with two companies now. Look at them playing both sides. Well, actually working with, they seem to be kind of the most spread out with their partnerships right now too.
No, and I think that's so great for the town. The only thing that worries me is that I feel like it's going to turn into an ECW WWF situation where they're going to kind of like poach the best talent from TNA and kind of
Hmm.
hurt TNA because it always seems like they already have their sights on Hendry and Jordan Grace and potentially
Uh-huh.
Moose. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be negative, but that's always just my fear because of history and things done. And it's just TNA always gets picked clean and always has to kind of. I always feel like they're the Browns of the wrestling. Like they're always a
Always
piece, a two
rebuilding.
away in rebuilding.
Always rebuilding. Yep, I agree. TNA's got poached for years, but when they were early 2000s and all that, it seemed like they were fine. But after that,
Yeah. Uh, and then speaking of crossovers, you have Mariah May and Yuka Sakazaki. But the big story is, after she wins, Mina comes back and is kind of shocked that Mariah May is now this full blown heel and dastardly ways. And then but Mariah's still conflicted because she teamed up with Tony Storm in Japan, and Tony didn't remember Mariah. And she seems like she's stuck in the middle of this like love triangle, friendship triangle, and it's interesting. They're still weaving this story, and I'm curious where it's going to go. But Mina seems like she's going to be all elite soon, so curious your thoughts on that. I know you liked Mina when she was back at Double or Nothing.
yeah, I think she's great. She's got a lot of personality and things like that. Good worker. It's a little bit different sometimes with that translation of the Japanese sometimes to get their mannerisms and some of their styles and even some of their gear attire and stuff. It's just a little different, but I think she's a good addition. So I'm really happy. And there you got a good setup to get four different women involved in some storyline. I mean, I'm all for seeing Willow back again in a good storyline.
I know,
Love her. She's great.
and it seems like they finally have a renewed focus on the women's division, which is refreshing. I have Emily who now she has more reason to watch. You have Rachel who has more reason to watch. It's not just seeing the people we like, but now they're seeing people they like, or there's more reasons for casual fans to tune in versus just it's the same six people wrestling every single week. You're getting variety, but not only getting different variety in styles, you're getting males, you're getting females, you're getting mixed gender matches. I like that we're finally getting the true buffet of wrestling, and I think this card really helped prove it because there was so much variety between these two nights. Like, I think Collision was more the fun show, and Dynamite was more the serious storyline driven show
Yes, I
because
agree. Yeah.
we ended with kind of a brutal match with Moxley just destroying Darby. I mean, that top rope Death Rider, the taking all the moves on the outside, just and then Brian making his return in the crowd and choking out Mox with the tie. Was that Justin Roberts' tie? Because people keep thinking, is that Justin Roberts' tie? Like he was wearing a bow tie in the middle of the night, but was that one of his spare ties?
Very, very possible. I've heard that same thing too.
So, and then someone wants to know if do you think AJ Styles is coming to AEW? So I don't know. I feel like he's going to finish his career in WWE. I don't think he wants to start over or go. So I think he's at the point where he wants to be done, like transition
Uh,
backstage role when he's done.
Possibly because I would, don't get me wrong, I would love to see AJ Styles, even if it was like the retirement tour type thing.
Right.
I would love to see AJ Styles for a year in AEW. I mean, it'd be great. Look at the matchups, and he would get to work a little bit different style, which I know he's adjusted because of his age and other things, to make it work and all that. But still, it'd be great to see a little bit of retro throwback AJ Styles for a year before he went out.
Yeah,
Ooh,
nobody's saying Styles and KO are big maybes. I could see Kevin Steen. I could see a Kevin Steen. He's already
kill
made all.
Steen, kill.
He's already made all the money in WB. Last time he was negotiating, they dangled Stone Cold in front of him. He got to have his Stone Cold match at Mania.
Use the stunner.
He's been Universal Champion. He's had pretty much every title but the world. I mean, I don't see him in the world title picture. I kind of see him as like fodder in the world title picture now. So I feel like if he wants to kind of go finish his career and have his last contract, maybe make Mount Rushmore a thing one more time. Maybe come in and finish with maybe. I doubt Sammy's leaving, but maybe Sammy left. Maybe El Generico makes his mysterious return and comes out of retirement. And I mean, that's what's great about having such a healthy wrestling industry is by next year this roster could look completely different. We could have talents we never thought we'd see in WB and WB talents we never thought we'd see in AEW and AEW.
Right. Well, and kind of like the comment just put up too, go out on their own terms. That's what I would love to see people get to do. Go out on their own terms in some of the ways they want to do it, and the style or the opponents, things like that. So
Like I mean, Brian seems to be going on his own terms with. I'm guessing he hand chose Moxley, but I mean, it kind of makes sense to the story because they started the BCC together. They're going to end it together, but we don't even know if Mox is going to win. So I kind of like this intrigue. Like everyone assumes Brian's going to be done just because it's Tacoma. Like that, I feel like that's such a foregone conclusion that what a swerve would be if he didn't. Like,
and it's fun. And it's funny that you say the word swerve.
yes, because whose house?
Swerve's house.
And we can't forget about that. What do you think of MVP? I did not expect MVP coming out of Grand Slam.
Correct. That one got me, but I kind of heard some rumors about him doing some talking. That was as far as that ever went. But to actually be on the show and come out like that, I was like, oh, wow. And then of course throwing out the hurt business and stuff like that, the business or whatever.
And I like
Interesting.
I like that they didn't debut them all at once. If it's like Shelton and Lashley are signed, I like that they debuted MVP first because if you slow burn this, it can work well.
Hmm. Agreed. Agreed.
And I know the rumor going around today is that the Hurt Syndicate, I think that's what they're calling it. They're saying that it could be like Powerhouse, Swerve, Shelton, and Lashley. That would be a pretty friggin' brutal faction. That would be a faction I'd like to, especially MVP as a mouthpiece.
Hmm.
Unleashed MVP is the mouthpiece. We heard him on the boat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I really like that. And like you said, he's going to be good at doing that slow build too, because he can go out there, he can rile people up, just by talking and doing that type of stuff. So wrestle.
Matt, come on, you saw Survivor Series
Agreed.
prices. You got to go to Wrestle Dream. You can you can take Caitlin out for a nice dinner in Seattle and go have fun at Wrestle Dream.
That's fair.
Yeah, Hobbs is medically cleared as it is, and he was there watching MVP's I mean, he was probably watching everything, but the picture going around was him watching MVP talk to Prince Nana, which I don't know if I'm ready for Nana to leave Swerve though. That's the only thing I'm sad about. I like Nana. He also is the only one that gave me a good score in the belly flop. So me and Nana, we have love.
That's your homeboy.
Plus that dance is just catchy.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He's made that super over.
And then tonight we had Collision, which was a continuation. Which I'm not always the biggest fan of the taped Collision because there was some spoilers that I got tagged in, but thankfully I didn't. I was able to steer clear of most of them. But I do like that. So we had Hayter and Saraya. They actually taped the match later in the night, but Tony put it on first. So I like that he ordered the card still to give Hayter and Saraya a moment at the beginning of the show. And it was basically a no DQ match, but only Saraya could have no DQ. Hayter had to kind of follow the rules, but it was such a chaotic match. It was such a I don't know. Like we had the bunkhouse brawl last week. Then we had this one. They had the toy cars on the table, all the different spots, and then Hayter just beasting her and finally beating Saraya. But now Hayter's back and she's on her revenge tour. So I'm curious. I mean, she's got Tony Storm in her sights. Who else does she have in her sights? Because she wants to get rid of everyone.
Well, yeah, I'm just glad to have her back. And yes, she has looked like an absolute beast right now. I've really liked that they've started her out with them with that group too. You know, getting kind of that going again and getting it hot because Soraya can help. You know, talk and get people hating everything. So
I know she's got so much fake outrage online. It's. I think it's funny that people forget that they're working their personalities on their social media too. Like they think that this just because they're on Twitter or Instagram or all that oh this is how she like you do realize they work you through social media too. I
yeah, yes.
mean, like,
If their working name is on the account, they're gonna work you. If it's their personal and has their real name, it might be a little different, but there's probably still working you unless you've developed a relationship through communication or whatever. You know, they're gonna work you. It's their job. Get over it.
I
That's
know,
why we like and hate it.
and it's funny because I'll just see so many.
Excuse me.
I'll see so many people just like, oh, Soraya's so annoying while clapping back on Twitter, but she'll be sitting there clapping back at people who are hating on her because every time she comes off, they want to turn on the channel. I'm like, that's called heat.
Hmm. It is correct.
Yes, the Hot Wheels spot. Ouch. And then, yeah, Alexa Bliss does not stay in kayfabe in her Twitter whatsoever. It's so funny when she was doing everything with Bray. She would be all like demonic and spooky, but then on Twitter she'd be like, "Check out this new coach bag I got."
Dance or yeah, or a dance with Nia Jax and other people. Oh yeah. But for
Right?
somebody
No,
like her though, I liked it though because we all know she's how she is. She had trouble in the beginning not smiling while she was wrestling.
right.
So I mean, look how far she came. She could be like actually convince you and then be the fun, bubbly person she was afterwards.
And I think people forget there's real people behind these characters. I mean, that's why we talk about all the time when you go on the cruise. I feel like we get to know them, not like at a personal level because we're not sitting there, but like, so what's your shoe size or anything. But you kind of see them maybe not have their performance turned on, like seeing you with the Outrunners. I still talk about like seeing you get to interact with Turbo and Magnum. I think I was
Oh, that's
happier than
awesome.
you because I'm like Jeff is in heaven right now because he's walking around with two people he's been watching since NWA. He's probably the only one on the boat who has an Outrunner shirt on, and and now and now the
Excuse
most
me.
vascular youngest men are some of the most over. We saw a great video package tonight with them on the boardwalk, just hamming it up, having the
Playing.
time of their rookie year. You know,
Oh, that was awesome. Well, and then the same with Action Andretti, you know,
yes,
for my experience, and then all of us, it was great. Because like you said, we're not on a personal level or nothing. We're not best friends, but it's nice to get to know them as a human being a little bit more and get to call them by their real name instead of just, oh, hey, your stage name.
right. And I think it makes you root for them a little more because you're like, they're a good dude or they're good people, and you're like, I'm gonna root for this person a little harder because I know they're a kick ass to talk to, or they actually enjoy the business. They're not just there to get a paycheck. So,
Hmm.
and you can definitely see that, like someone like the Outrunners. they're having so much fun, and I love. I'll admit it, I didn't get their gimmick at first. I wasn't the biggest, but I saw you so passionate about. I'm like, okay, if Jeff is this passionate about it, there's got to be something I'm just missing. I just need to pay attention more. I just need to buy in. And the second I just let myself buy into it, I'm like, I get it. I'm hooked. I love these guys.
Well, for me, what grabbed me initially because I didn't know a shitload about them, and then I saw them at NWA, and I was like, dude, I don't know shit about these guys besides that they look like they're fun. They are super old school for their gimmick, which for me brought me back to when I was a kid, you know. But I was like, God, they can work though, man. That was the whole thing. They can work. You know, you can be hokey as long as you can fucking work and back it up.
Right? It's definitely like a Orange Cassidy style gimmick where when you realize they're so good at working, they make it look like they can't work. It's like, and that's an art in itself.
Hmm.
And I love the camera shot when it's like, Turbo, come here, you son of a bitch. And like this, I just, it's so fun to see. And you can tell the locker room likes them because every time they're in like a multi-man match, everyone's trying not to break. I think it was
Hmm.
last week they were in that multi-man match, and they kept looking over at Mortis, and he kept looking away. I'm like, you can't see him smile, but you could tell he was trying to like, all right, I need to be serious. I can't be
Hmm.
staring at this. And I there was another one. There was a video of it was it was Tony Schiavone watching him, and he was like from the side, and it was a fan cam on Tony, and he's like kept covering his mouth because he's trying to not just smirk. And I'm like, that's when you know when you're popping your coworkers. That's when you know
Hmm.
you're good.
Yep. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
We had the learning tree get a shocking win over the conglomeration. I know you asked me off air on thoughts on the conglomeration, so I'll spin on you. What are your thoughts on the conglomeration?
Well, kind of what we were talking about. It is definitely a strange dynamic, but it kind of works for me in certain ways. Like we talked about, the Kyle O'Reilly and Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe just goes off on his wild tangents and shit. Kyle O'Reilly gets either pumped up by it and is all jacked up, ready to go too, or he's just like, hey, man, I don't know. I'm just following him around. And then Orange waits back and is just like, hey, well, you know, I guess I'm going with them. Cool. So it's different, but it works. And I like that they're getting Rocky involved because I just like a Sukar. So he's a cool dude, and I've always liked him as a wrestler. So,
And Rocky should be MVP because I feel like he helped kind of bridge all these relationships with New Japan, CMLL.
oh, yeah.
Behind the scenes, he's been so instrumental, and it's so funny because he's been on a couple cruises now,
Hmm.
and every time he blends in because you're expecting to see the dude with the eye patch and the gold jacket, and then
Four
instead
finger rings.
he's walking around in like a muscle t-shirt and like a normal. I think I walked by him so many times that it wasn't until I think the last day of this most recent cruise where I was like, so every time I walked by the buffet, I think that was Rocky Romero. Like it just finally clicked. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think it was, but even if it was, I'm not going to bother him. But I'm like, he's so good at just being himself, and I think he adds in Glover, especially if Mark Briscoe kind of goes and drops that title soon, or I feel like he's got to get rid of the Ring of Honor title soon to someone, and if they're going to focus on maybe the trios title from conglomeration, or I don't know, but losing to Jericho, it was kind of an odd choice, but I think it's because Big Bill's getting that rub right now, because Big Bill is he's getting some love from Cardiff, and tonight he was super over.
That was very surprising. I mean, I get it. Dude's huge. He's, been pretty comical at times with this learning tree thing. So, I mean, I think this has been good for him. I know, a lot of people shit on this learning tree gimmick, but I mean, I think it works for a couple of these guys. Even Brian Keith, it's getting a little bit more. I don't know if he needed as much in the beginning as Big Bill, but I get it because he was a newcomer. So, but I think it's really helping him. And like you said, I think that's going to be something coming up soon too.
And I made that crazy prediction that I thought Enzo was going to show up because he was on the cruise. I thought maybe there's a chance he could show up at Grand Slam in New York, but maybe now they save the reunite. Maybe that's one of the matches they do on the boat. They have Enzo and Big Bill team up for just the boat because one time only.
Right.
I feel like they got to bring that connection back just once because they were on the Indies together for Ring of Honor and they tried to have a run. It just didn't really work out.
Because
And this,
weren't they together at TNA there briefly too? That didn't work.
yeah, and
Okay, I thought so.
doesn't seem like it's really Bill's fault. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Enzo. I
Right.
just think maybe the cards weren't always right, but can you imagine if him and Big Bill just even one time come out together? That place would go nuts. That place would go nuts if you. I loved Big Cass and Enzo Amore. That was so fun.
Yeah.
You
You
can't
can't
teach that.
teach that. Oh man, that was one of the best things he ever did.
My friend Kenny still to this day will randomly have a coffee cup on the way to work, and he'll send me a Snapchat like, "What do we have here? Cup of haters, cup of haters."
Haters.
it's it's those lasting memories. And I think when Big Bill turns on Jericho, it's gonna be magic. I think it's gonna elevate him to such a popular babyface, kind of like what Wardlow was before Wardlow kind of
Hmm.
lost his push. But that's I think what you got to do. Maybe put him in that division. We need this beefy division back. Have Wardlow, have a Hobbs, have a Brian Cage, have a Lance Archer, have Dutch from the Righteous. Like have do another Meat Madness because I think the more you do that, the more you get these guys over, the more you can put them into like tag teams and trios matches, and they'll be taken more seriously.
Correct, because you need to show some of their athleticism more, because they're not going to shine athletically versus smaller opponents. But if they get to show that against the bigger opponents, I feel like that'll help go, well, these guys can do this. It's just these guys are faster and smaller and doing it like they're supposed to. I mean, well, like the Big Show, they never let the Big Show do any of his moves back in the day. He was doing moonsaults and all this other stuff. They said, you can't do that. You're too big.
Right.
Well, wait, what? Like, let me jump over the top rope on my, getting in the ring and stuff. Nope, can't do that. You're big. You're not supposed to do that. Okay, I guess. I think it'd be great because I like that stuff. And also on that note, maybe, with this MVP thing, if they're not able to get some of these other talents that might still be legends or who knows with WWE, maybe that's what they start with is Hobbs back. Wardlow, I don't know where he's at with his knee, but if he's getting close, I mean, there's two beefy guys right there to start a faction with MVP. That would be pretty fucking deadly.
Almost like the old Monster Factory. It's like the old Dungeon of Doom or like
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
like and
So,
and it's funny you mentioned Big Show because all I could think of was WCW is when he was in like the best shape and he was like you said he was just literally doing moonsaults or he was like drop kicking people out of nowhere and then you see him in WWE and he's just throwing the power of the punch doing the big leg over everyone and being a tree trunk and it's like if you were to tell Cam or if you were to tell a younger fan Big Show can do a moonsault they're like no he can't and then you show him the video in WCW like holy crap he has hair and he can flip.
like, not, and it was like nothing either. Very effortless.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to see like what Brian Cage and what some of these big men can do. I look at that, I'm like, I get hurt sitting the wrong way or sleeping the wrong way, and these guys are out here doing tope suicidas into the guardrail, then getting up and then doing a backflip moonsault. Like what?
And standing moonsaults and stuff even. I mean, because that was one thing I will say. Lucha Underground for their portrayal of every character, they didn't give a fuck. I will say that was one very awesome thing about that show was they let all their big characters, small characters, women, fighting men. It didn't matter. I mean, they pulled out all the stops, and I really like that because they gave them that freedom, and they got to showcase what they could fucking do.
I mean, maybe they can run back Chelsea and Bento and Penta goes to WB because I remember Chelsea Chelsea Green almost getting like concussions and just getting
Oh,
thrown around the ring by Penta.
I mean, like I said, it was almost brutal in a way, but you're sitting there going, well, Chelsea knows what the fuck she's doing, so she knows what
Right.
she's involved in. She told Penta to go hard. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? And that was just like one I always remember was Brian Cage versus Ty Valkyrie back
Yes.
in Lucha when they had that no holds barred or whatever the heck that was, and she got thrown outside through the table and all this stuff, and I was like, that is fucking awesome because she took it, gave it back, and it really showcased what she could do. And I was a huge fan of her after that. Huge fan after that.
And I think if you look close, it really shows like how Brian was good at protecting. Because I remember there's a
Hmm.
move where it looks like he does like a running power bomb, and it looks like he just devastates. But if you look, he holds her just slightly longer, so he's not drilling her with a full force, but it's still
Hmm.
devastating. And I think seeing the art of like them being able to, like you said, they know what they're doing, being thrown around like a rag doll, but they're in such a way where they're being protected. So obviously they must trust Brian, they must trust Penta, they must trust
Hmm.
because I don't know about you, but I've seen Brian Cage right next to me. I don't want to get thrown around by him. I don't want to get punched by him or
No.
chopped by him.
I mean, I let him chop me, but that's just because I'm fucking stupid. But
Got to add it to your resume with top
I've had a
flight, right?
few. Yeah, yeah, Dante. I've had a few different ones and some other cruises, of course. I always tell them it's like, here's the thing. If you want to shoot me, then I'm doing one back. If you're just gonna chop me and give me a hard, you can give me as hard a fucking chop as you want. Just don't shoot the fuck out of me. We're not trying to fucking start, stop my heart, and stop on me or something. Just give me a knife edge as hard as you fucking want, and we're good.
Right.
I'm good with it. No problem.
Or like the poor kid that I don't think will ever come back on the cruise because Brian gave him birthday shots all cruise, birthday chops all cruise.
Well,
Oh,
he'll remember it.
right. I don't think I'll forget it just because it echoed in the whole entire hallway, or especially the one with Dante too, just because I remember him like, "Please don't get me in trouble." I think that's all I remember is him like, "Please don't get me in trouble."
No, they had to get it on video. They were getting content, and he had to say, "Hey, do you agree to do this?" And it's like, absolutely, no problem.
Right? You're
Yep,
like, yeah,
not
you're
a
like, no,
problem.
you totally did this. You totally did this to us. No,
Yeah, you did this without my consent.
if you know Smokey, you know he was like, "Bring it on."
Yeah, here you go, bud. Put as big a one as you want. Well, it was
I
funny because Action Tyler, he was like, shoot one. And I'm like, if you're going to shoot me, I'm shooting you back. And he was like, okay, just a regular. Here, Dante, you can do it. Because he's like, I don't want to fucking do it. This guy might actually give me a good shoot one back.
I know. I think you put the fear in his eyes that day when you said that. He was like,
Well, like I said, you
"Oh."
can do it however you want, brother. Just don't try to fucking stop my heart, man. We're here drinking.
Right? We're here to have fun, not go to the
I mean,
ER.
you can put a huge handprint. Like I said, that's fine. That goes away.
No, yeah. I think if I look at the top people, I would never want to take a shot from. It'd probably be Big Show, Walter, and Brian Cage are the three people. I'm good. I'm just good. I watched Big Show. This I don't even know what it was. I want to. It wasn't a Comic Con, but it was like three wrestlers came. They were promoting a movie. I think Big Show was in some cheesy movie with Triple H. It was came out on Hulu a while ago,
Oh, like a WWE made one or something.
and I remember somebody was in his line who was like, "Chop me." And I just remember he's like, "Are you fucking serious?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, chop me, chop me." And he looks over to his handler, and the handler's like I'm not stopping you. And I just remember
Right.
the guy took his shirt off and he was already going. He did the overhand. He didn't do the
Oh,
he didn't
oh
do a
yeah.
knife hand.
Ooh,
He just came down, and I don't think he did it with his full force because he wasn't trying to kill the kid. But he
right.
he did it, and I watched the kid just shoulders drop, and I just saw the ripple of his skin. I went, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And I saw him later at the Comic Con, and I asked to see his chest. It was a 3D handprint of Big Show's freaking hand on his chest.
Oh, I bet. And add to that list probably like Flair. I wouldn't
Yep.
want knife edge chops repetitively from Flair because he knows how to fucking do it. Uh, might add like Roderick Strong or a couple of them guys too that are fucking serious choppers too.
Ugh, yeah,
But
I don't know.
Walter would probably be the top one for me, honestly, because Big Show's is just the girth and everything else. But Walter, goddamn, I think that's his just regular chop. That's not shoot. That's
Yeah,
just regular.
and he put some stank behind it too. Like when he hit you.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, and then we had another good match before we go 2 hour 3 hours with my ADHD here. Um, so Hologram beats Beast Mordos and Dralistico. I've been loving Hologram lately, but I am really loving Beast Mortis. I've liked him since Black Taurus and TNA, and
Hmm.
I'm so excited. I know Hologram picks up the win, but Dralistico and Beast Mortis would beat down Hologram, and Roosh would come out, and I think Beast Mortis is aligning with Roosh. And I think this is where maybe the Don Callis family can go. Is Takesh just seems to be breaking away. Kyle
Hmm.
seems breaking away. Will doesn't want to be a part of it. Maybe Don Callis gets LFI, gets them some, momentum because if any faction needs help, LFI, because Roosh, speaking of chops and stiffness, Roosh, Jalisco, and
Yeah,
Beast Mordos, that is a very dangerous faction right there, too.
I agree. And they need that mouthpiece to help with the American audience, I guess you'd say. Because
Right.
yeah, I think that'd be great.
And speaking of crazy athletic big men, like just watching him tonight taking the crucifix drivers, crucifix bombs, catching people in midair, and then still doing a backflip to take the move, having hologram hit him with a Spanish fly. Like, how do they move like that? Like, it's a video game. I love watching hologram. He's a
Right.
freaking video game.
Right. Correct. Yeah, he's been great since he's came out, and they definitely been pushing him. So
I like how everyone tries to touch him just to make sure he's real. Like every time he comes in the ring, they're always like poking on him to see if he's real. And then Orange Cassidy comes up, he's like, meh.
hold
So, right, yeah.
on.
And then Hangman and Jeff Jarrett had, I've never seen this before, a lumberjack strap match. I'd never seen the lumberjacks with straps for. It was interesting. Loved Juice's outfit. That popped me with his like whitey tighties and his flannel and his suspenders.
You
And
gotta love Juice.
then like trying to hang Hangman and then just them beating the hell out of both of them with the straps, and Hangman picks up the win. You know, typical Jeff Jarrett overbooked match, but it was fun. I love
Yeah.
what they're doing with Hangman. I love this new Hangman. I love this is like the outlaw from Ring of Honor Hangman. This is the Hangman that's been missing for a while. This is the Hangman I really remember.
I think this is even more over, like over than what he was Bullet Club when he did get the Hangman moniker. You know what I mean? Because I remember that transition, and I think right now he is way more violent and way more deranged and stuff now than he ever was that. So I mean, I like it too. Now, going to that point though, you probably have, if you did watch Lucha Underground at all, somewhat, not necessarily regularly when it was shown, but like Netflix and whatever, they had one. That's the only other time I remember seeing a lumberjack strap where because the crowd had straps in Lucha Underground and they were beating. I just remember beating the hell out of people when they were coming out because like the front row crowd all around in the temple had belts. So anytime a wrestler came out there, they were just fucking beating the shit out of. And you could tell a couple times, a couple of them hit him hard because they're like, "Hey, motherfucker," like, "Hey, man, that would fucking hurt."
See, I'd be afraid because I'd be afraid I get too, like you said, too enthusiastic, like, and then you hit someone, they just turn around and be like, oh, that's it, and you get a receipt.
Yeah, you could tell, like, dude looked and he's like, "Okay, man, sorry." Here, sorry.
And I wish they'd put Lucha Underground. I know it. You can find it on like Tubi or one of those. Because I watched the first season, which I think the second season is where it really picks up. Like second and third
Hmm.
are really, I think, the best from what I remember.
Hmm.
Four, they
They
really, I
were.
think, four you could tell they were kind of going down, and I think the whole arena changed, and then the lighting changed, and then went back. And there was a lot of weird production changes from what I remember.
Hmm.
But I wish there was a way, like if Peacock or or someone bought the rights to that, and just you would get such a core following because there's so many guys in there. Prince Puma, Kill Switch. I mean, Kill
I
Shot. Excuse
mean,
me. There's so many
Sammy
people that are going
Guevara,
through.
like, I mean, it's really their roster and Helico. I mean, Pentagon, Phoenix. I mean, it's crazy. Brian Cage, Taya Valkyrie. I mean, hey,
Hey,
Rachel.
girl.
It's insane how much current talent was in Lucha Underground that's on these different promotions. It's really, really, because I watched it, like you said, they had it on something where I could watch it. Pluto, I want to say, because
Pluto. Yeah.
it's flopped around. Now I think you have to pay for it to even watch it. So don't watch it. But yeah, it was like, wow, there were so many people that were on it. Now they're stars and whatever else. Yeah, she's got one, even though Sexy Star fucked her career up after that.
I was like, isn't someone else playing her now? Because like the original person who played her got fired because she like was too stiff. It was like hurting people.
Thunder Rosa was also on Lucha Underground too.
That's
But
right.
I think what happened, if I remember, she was back in Mexico wrestling and she fucking stiffed somebody on a submission or some shit and tried to break their arm or something. And this wasn't like the first time, I guess. She'd had another incident years before. So I don't really know, but
I just I feel like that's the stupidest way to like. Yeah, I know there's plenty of people like we've been watching that Vince McMahon documentary, and you can hear about some of the
mm,
people who like. I think about the guy in the Dynamite Kid. I can't think of his name, but the guy with the quarters who hit Dynamite Kid in the face. Like I think there's so many things, or John Stossel who slapped the reporter for calling it fake. Like there's some
mm,
people who they'll derail their career because they want to like show they're tough or show they're I'm bigger than it's like, ugh. But at the end of the day, you got to protect your workers because if a promoter sees you as unsafe, they're not going to put you on their card.
oh yeah, it was a big ordeal too. Because like I said, well, in Lucha Underground, she was their uh, main champion, I think twice, I want to say. So it's not like she wasn't getting pushed and popped. And then, she was already big in Mexico. And then, like I said, I can't remember who it was with, but yeah, I tried to think to break her arm in their match and she got called out for it. And I don't think she's really got a chance to work ever since.
Yeah, I think they replaced her from whatever. I think they like
Oh,
made that.
yeah.
I think they like said, okay, we're gonna give your moniker to someone else, and that's what AAA, CMLL, they'll take the moniker and mask and give it to another worker. I
Hmm.
mean, WB's done that too. When the original Sin Cara came in,
Hmm.
they didn't like he couldn't adapt to sell, and they gave another guy the Sin Cara moniker, and he was there for a while. It's really confusing because then I think they had a whole storyline where Sin Cara 1 versus Sin Cara 2, and then Hunico. It hurt my head, and I'm like, this is why it's hard to give a gimmick to somebody else. But then now the original Sin Cara is back at Misco, and he's still killing it.
Yeah.
Like I watched him the other day in the Jericho highlights. I'm like, he's still really really good. How has no one picked him up? And then you realize, oh yeah, his career kind of got derailed when they tried to pick him up last time.
Hmm. Yeah. Sometimes they hurt themselves, and then sometimes just situation or bad timing.
I know you said Guevara earlier, and that was the main event. Guevara and Okada. I actually really enjoyed it. I know people for some reason aren't liking Okada in AEW, but I like him in AEW. I think he's got a different gimmick, a different personality, and if you remember him in New Japan, he always was kind of goofy. He always had, especially when he was a heel, he always had little stupid comments to say. Like I remember there was a press conference right after he won. I think it was his second G1, and someone was like, "Well, what do you plan to do now?" He's like, "The fuck do you think I'm gonna do? Like I'm gonna win the title. Like why are you asking me this?" And he just said it with such a straight face, and then he was like, just smiled after, like out of nowhere, and then
Yeah.
and I think it's great because Japanese wrestling, it's decorum, it's straight face, it's serious, and you had Okada who would just sit there and just. So I think when people see his mannerisms, they're surprised, but he's always kind of done it. I think he's just trying a different version of himself, and I like
Hmm.
it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. I've been liking it because, like you said, that Japanese stuff is different. They do things different, and like you said, he did kind of do that like almost smart ass kid thing. In a way, like nah, nah.
Right.
And you're like, wait, what? But now I do like it that it's he has tried to adapt that because I think the Bucks kind of told him, hey man, bring it in. You can do it all. Just let's do something different. Bring you in as something that nobody's seen you as. And I think, like you said, I think it works. I've been here for it. I mean, Okada can back it up. So, and I think his promos aren't great, but I feel like they have been improving. He's popping a little comedy in there too, which I enjoy. So
Like
when it's done well,
When Mercedes there, and he was like,
yeah,
like
yep.
fanning himself off, or like
Well, and
the
some of
Rock
that
puts
plays
him.
off, yeah, and some of that, plays kind of the Maria stuff with like Bullet Club, when they would go against Kingdom and she'd be shaking her ass.
Yeah.
Carl Anderson would be all, huh? What? Like that's good stuff because they were always known as being more serious and violent and, stuff like that, do whatever the fuck they want. So I kind of enjoy that when you throw it in.
No, and I love it, and I love seeing Okada wrestle because I didn't get to see him week to week. I think I would see a match every few months because I wasn't staying up till 5 in the morning to watch
Mhm.
every single pay per view. But I watched Wrestle Kingdom. I watched him and Kenny. I watched him and Jay White. Him and Osprey had friggin' a hell of a match. I think 3 years ago that I remember watching where he hits him with a rainmaker, but as he's getting hit, he grabs his arm and they turn it into like a flipping armbar, and Okada lands on his feet and just goes. And
No,
it's
no, no. Yeah.
just seeing what he can do, and he hasn't been unleashed. And I think he's going to surprise people when he goes against an Osprey, he goes against Jay White, or he goes against someone who really knows him.
Mhm.
I think he's going to surprise because even with Sammy, he started to kind of show more flashes of his athleticism. Him and Sammy tore it down, and I'm glad because I think Sammy's finally starting to get that appreciation he hasn't been getting for a while. Because Sammy's a good kid, he's a good worker, and he gets a lot of hate, and he doesn't deserve it.
I agree. I mean, like you said, getting to know people on a different level. Like I said, we ain't best friends with people, but Sammy and and then Ty have been on cruises and getting to see them and their interactions. I mean, look at them, with your own son, for example.
Right.
They fucking were awesome. So no matter what, he can't be that shitty of a person for people to hate him that much and get that much heat. It just can't be all there.
And I think it's just one of those people find things online to hate about something and they just stick in their mind that, oh, I have to hate them now. And I just kind of laugh. Like, I'll see comments like, oh, he's terrible. He said this about so and so like 10 years ago. I'm like, okay, but if I go back 10 years ago in your account, I'm sure I could find something that you would be proud of either. Like,
Oh yeah,
I'm
young
not,
and dumb. We're young and dumb. And now he
like,
has a family. So now there's a different priority to besides just himself. Maybe.
if you,
Maybe. I mean,
like, if Facebook hadn't deleted me from years and years ago and I had to remake it 3 years ago, if I saw a post from 2010, I'd probably be cringed out because I'm sure I said things that were stupid or not PC. Because sometimes you don't know, and you're just this young cocky kid, and you're like, I'm gonna say this because I'm funny and edgy, and you look back, you're like, I was so cringy. What was I?
well, we grow with it. And like I said, for me, it's even different because social media was different for me. I just turned 45 last week. So, like, it didn't start till I was in school. And then I didn't really even get into it till later. So it's like, wow, I think if I'd have looked at MySpace back, in like 1997 or 8 or whatever, like, holy shit, what kind of bullshit is on there?
Right? We didn't have as much video evidence for ours. Like we didn't have.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
special when
My
someone had the
stuff.
camera.
Yes. Yeah. There was definitely not as much picture evidence.
I remember going to an ECW show at a local college town in Durham, New Hampshire, and someone had one of those giant, like I call them the dad cameras, where it was like 2 feet long. It took the old VHS tapes, and
Oh, the old camcorders.
yeah, and he's. I remember he's filming it, and nobody cares because again, it was ECW. I don't they were like, hey, someone's filming it, and I just remember thinking like, oh, maybe we'll get to see that match one day. And looking back, I'm like, I'm kind of glad we didn't because the quality of that would have been so bad.
Oh yeah,
But you know what? Someone's got a memory of that, and I'm pretty sure Sandman came out that section and poured a beer over him with the camera. Because I remember him shaking the camera after Sandman getting angry.
cleaning it.
But yeah, I remember because like you didn't have cameras, you had people with disposable cameras. Like that was the most popular thing when you went to those shows was you actually had the lighters. So like when Kane would come out, or you had disposable cameras, you wind it up waiting for the flash to go,
Yep. Oh
hoping
yeah,
you
you
got
got
that good
hit the
picture.
little button, hit the little button on the front, trying to get the flash. Fuck, it didn't work. Shit, it didn't work. I just wasted 3 pictures.
Right, and then you develop like my thumb. Damn it.
Well, and you only got like 24 of them if you bought the extended film in it because I think the other ones were like 12 or something. It wasn't much in the
Right.
beginning, and you might have got 30 later on or something. But because I still had some from a few shows I went to when I was during younger with disposables, and it was like, oh my gosh, these were terrible.
I found a couple of years ago and developed them, and they were such crappy quality. But I have a few house show images, and I don't even know what I was taking a picture of. There's one like the back of some dude's head. There's another one where I can't tell who's even entering because it's so dark in the arena. That's like it didn't light anything up,
Ah,
but like right in front of you. And I'm like,
right.
we're spoiled now with having technology where you can videotape if you really wanted like a whole entire
Hmm.
segment or a whole entire match. Or when they film it on TV, it's you can see like the sweat beads dripping down them. It's wild to me how much wrestling's evolved from dark and dingy arenas to even some of the indies are running in like 4K HD streaming online.
Correct.
It's
Right.
wild.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been a crazy progression. Crazy.
And then did you guys ever get your tickets to you guys going to St. Louis for
I,
Collision?
I'm not sure if we're going to not or yet. Figuring out how many tickets I need and seeing where we're at because I don't know. I'd like to go because we've been to everything. We've been to it actually since there really is no more dark. We've been to Dark, Rampage, Dynamite, then we've been to I don't know 2 or 3 pay-per-views or whatever now, and then we need a Collision because we missed the first one this year that they had because it was right after the cruise. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think it
think it
was
was.
like the same week, right?
Yeah, like we came back like Tuesday or something, and then they're like, "Oh, it's like Thursday or Wednesday night after, or something." And we're like, "Well, shit, we can't swing that. We just had the cruise and all that, so it's like, I guess we're gonna have to take the bullet on that one." So, leaning towards it, we'll say.
Well, good thing is, worst case, I mean, that's one thing they got to fix. If you wait till like the day before the show, we got dirt cheap tickets to
Hmm.
Dynamite. I wasn't going to go to the one that was like an hour away from here, but then the day of, tickets dropped down to like nothing. I was like, but why weren't these
Hmm.
prices in the beginning?
Hmm. We had a friend go to the, what was it, 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Champagne Dynamite that they had there at U of I. And I had a buddy go who never had been to a show before and stuff. And he's like, I sat like 3 rows up off the floor for like $20. And I'm like, are you
Wow.
serious? He's like, yeah, I just got tickets the day of. And I'm like, I mean, we're not paying a ton, but we were paying, $46 with the fees and everything else. And he went day of and it's like 20. And it's like, well, shit, we should just try that. Because we would have went. We just didn't want to, pay an assload of money and drive up there.
I know that. I think that's one thing if they can figure out with a new TV deal, if they can lower the tickets or do combo tickets and set them lower at the beginning, I think that's what helps. Because I think right now both companies have such high ticket prices. It's hard to go as a fan. I mean, Matt was talking to me about Survivor Series. It was
Oh
like three,
yeah.
$400 for nosebleeds, and then I know people who got the WrestleMania package, $50,000 for front row if you do the on-site
Holy.
VIP.
Because I caught part of your guys' conversation because that was the day I was traveling back from Ohio. So I think I pretty much commented and was a part of that maybe right after that section because I remember you guys mentioning it a time or two. And it was
Yeah,
like, God, because I've looked too, and it's like a couple $1,000s for tickets, and it's like I don't want to give, eighth of my yearly salary to go watch a fucking show or
I
whatever it is.
I looked at, I wanted to go to WrestleMania this year because, like, potentially, I'm like, okay, well, they delayed the cruise to October. Well, I shouldn't say delayed. They switched the cruise to October for Cruise 7. So I was like, well, All In is still the goal, but it's not going to be in London this year. So maybe next year. So I'm like, maybe a WrestleMania because I feel like I owe Emily a good WrestleMania because didn't have the best seats, and I kind of still feel bad.
Mm,
She didn't get to see the entrance. It's like her favorite part. So
right.
I looked at WrestleMania 40 and because like that's something I could drive to. Like it'll be like a 6 hour drive, but whatever.
It's manageable.
I was like, holy moly! Like after fees, it would have been close to like $1,200. And I'm not knocking the company. I'm like $1,200 to like go to wrestling is a little extreme, or concerts a little extreme when I could take the $1,200 and almost buy a room on the cruise. Like that's why like it's going to cost more than the cruise to go to these things.
Correct. And the cruise, you get several days. You get all the unlimited, in essence, unlimited meet and greets in a way. I mean, I don't know. I'd almost be with you guys on that, waiting to go to the All In where it's back in Wembley or somewhere
Somewhere in like
else. Australia, maybe. I've never been there either. I mean, like,
I would definitely have to sleep really well to go. I don't know if I could do 20 hours on a flight. God bless Will and
I don't know either because
Ollie, Oliver, and all that. Like I don't know how they do that flight. Oh,
that
I
seat
couldn't
would
do
kick
it.
my ass. It would kick my ass. But I'm just saying, if I'm going to spend that type of money,
For
even
the world
close to
good.
that type of money, then yes, I would like to make it a multi-purpose adventure. Don't get me wrong, it can all be, well, so for an example, like we were just in Vegas for softball. I mean, we were there because I was playing in a world softball tournament, but there's other times where we were on vacation. You know what I mean? We went a day and a half early, like we do for the cruise, almost 2 days early, so we can enjoy ourselves and have a mini vacation as a part of it because we're already spending the money to be there. So why not? That I have no problem with because then it makes it more worthwhile to us.
And it makes it more fun because it's not just like, oh, I'm flying in for this one thing, flying out. It's like, no, I can see the sights, check out this restaurant, check out this, do
Hmm.
that.
Well,
Spend
especially
time with
when
family.
she's with me, when and with if others are with me. Now, if I'm just by myself and I go to one of these travel tournaments, yeah, it's a little bit more business oriented, or I'm roughing it a little bit more. I might cut corners and sleep on an air mattress instead of paying for a bed, or things like that to save some money. But that's just because it's me and I don't really give a fuck. I don't need great lodgings and whatever. I need a bed, a bathroom, shower, that's about it. I can get food and do everything else on my own. So,
I slept on a couch. That was the most uncomfortable
correct.
couch for Mania because someone else had paid for the hotel room. I just gave them $20 to sleep on their couch because I didn't want to book my own hotel room. I was
Yep.
like, "Can I pay
I've
twenty
slept
bucks?"
on the
I'll.
floor.
Yeah,
I've
it's like
slept on the floor in a hotel room with towels as my blanket and pillow.
You know, it
just
works
because I
though.
didn't want to, and I didn't pay a dime. I didn't pay a dime for it. It was one night. That's all I
I,
needed. So,
I, Emily's sleeping now, so she can't yell. I've slept in a car before when I've traveled.
hmm
Pulled into like a truck space, just got like a 4 hour power nap. Just sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to save a buck or two because sometimes the flight's up there. Like when I went to see Brian, like it was crazy the difference in prices. Like from North Carolina to Ohio, I'm like, it shouldn't be that bad of a flight. Some flights wanted like $500 round trip. I'm like, that's just like, what are you
hmm
doing? So like, I can understand sometimes you got to cheap out on cut corners, other things, and
yep.
if your tickets to the show are going to cost you $2,000, then your amenities, you're already thinking like, I'm already thinking, okay, so if we go to Philly, that's 1,200 for the tickets, that's $100 in gas, that's at least 200 for a hotel, 200 for food. You're talking $2,000. It's like, and you're gonna want to sightsee because you're not going to drive all the way to Philly just to leave.
And I'm gonna want to eat some local food because I've never been there. For me
Right.
personally, I'm gonna want to have like a Philly cheesesteak and try some Philly things, and also just see some sights. The stairs are rocky, and maybe the Eagle stadiums or whatever. But you can't do anything then, or even for an example, I want to meet this wrestler because I haven't been on the cruise. I haven't seen him somewhere previously that I've been to the show, and I want to do a meet and greet. Well, fuck, it's $200. Add that on. Well, fuck. Like that's outrageous. Like you said, we're already talking cruise two people paid.
And I think that's why if anyone's listening to this or have listened to this, if you've never gone on the cruise, that's why we call it a floating WrestleMania because when you see the price tag, yeah, you're like, but if you think about it, that's your tickets, that's your food, that's your meet and greets, that's your
Lodging,
activities,
your
lodging.
room, your board. I mean,
You just gotta pay for literally your drinks, whatever you drink, whether you're drinking alcohol, non-alcohol, coffee. But this year, hopefully, an excursion. But I,
we're thinking it too. Even if
I,
it's not something outstanding, just something to go maybe to the beach even or something just to kind of see the Dominican a little bit because I hear it's really nice and good spots. So,
I know I want to check out that side by side tour. That looks fun. Where you take
ooh,
the
that
side
could
by
be.
sides to the waterfalls, like that sounds fun.
Hey, or like I said, we're interested in definitely doing something. So coordinate with us. Anybody who wants to coordinate, we're down. So
Absolutely,
this
yeah.
will be our
It's
first year doing an excursion. Other than that, we've always
same.
just kind of sightseed or whatever. So
No, the same. I was like, it's because I like the Bahamas, but I'm like, it's always the same thing. Like, I don't want to swim with the animals, and if people do that's fine, but that's just not for me. Brian can
mhm.
tell you why it's not for him.
Fuck those pigs.
Fuck those pigs, exactly. Um, and then a lot of it's like food and beverage tour. Well, if I paid for the beverage package, I don't want to pay for it again.
I still will say this to this day. I still want the cruise that goes back to the Norwegian private island just once. Just once, please take us back there because I want to get that experience where my package went above and beyond in ways because we've invested money in that the whole time. And don't get me wrong, Rachel and I drink our money's worth. I'm not as huge a drinker as her, but I drink all day and all night. I do. And that's not something I do on the regular, but I mean, I drink what I want when I want, like I'm supposed to. But I definitely pay for my drink package.
Oh yeah, it's
But
open box
I
for a reason.
that's what I mean. So if I don't like it, I fucking throw it away or give it to Rachel or something, or whatever. But I definitely drink my money's worth by the course of throughout the day, But I would like to see that once play out where I could go to the beach and not have to pay for it and can still enjoy my beverages. Go get maybe a little quick buffet or whatever style lunch that's included so then I'm not paying extra. Like I said in the past on a podcast, I think on one of the episodes, I think that would help promote a few more people that would want to get aboard because it can help their budget, you know? Because like we were talking about, I mean, all this shit is expensive and you want to enjoy yourself. And, we try to cut corners to make things more enjoyable. So that I feel like would definitely be a big one that could bring on some new people.
no,
So
and wrestling is
just
one of those
once.
things where it shouldn't be such an expensive entertainment because I'm not saying it's lowbrow, but I mean concerts are already holy crap. Like we can't have every event do that because you're going to see the drop off in attendance every company because people aren't
Mm-mm.
going to be able to bring their families. And
No, hell no.
I think that's the thing that worries me with like the AEW pricing, the W, even TNA. They're coming an hour away from us. Their tickets are starting to go up a little bit, and I get it's a business, but it's like few $100 adds up real quick when you add other expenses, and that can be a decision whether, oh, I don't know if I can go to this. I mean, that's why I think I try to go to a lot of the indies. We went to DPW. It didn't cost that much at all, and we were literally ringside because someone's like, "Oh, no one's in the seat. You can go here." I'm like, "Okay."
Awesome. Yeah. Well, because I remember going to Raw, like one of the last times I think I've been to a Raw was like 2005. We sat third row camera side and I paid 40 bucks. 40
That's
bucks.
incredible.
And that was when, oh gosh, that was when they brought the draft or whatever back. So we like got to see the first round of the draft and we paid 40 bucks and they did everything at us because we're camera side. You know what I mean? And it was like, holy shit, that was when ECW came on both sides of us. I mean, literally, I had buddies right there in the aisle and Sandman and all them and Dreamer and are walking right past them. And I think it was, it's like, holy shit. And now you're like, that would be like $440 now to get that seat.
Yeah, that's true because it's like then they did the ECW crowd. It was like off to the side, right? The entrance. It was like randomly in the crowd. That's right. I
They
forgot they
came
had
right
that weird
right
rule.
off camera. Yeah, they came right camera side, so you couldn't see them until they were jumping the barricade in essence to
That's
come in
awesome.
and attack. Yeah, because Cena came out with his St. Louis basketball jersey, and he threw it out in the crowd right down from us on that side and stuff like that. Because that was when Orton was hurt, and we ended up meeting him later on, and that was when he got hurt having that match with Undertaker when they flopped the pile driver, the
Yep.
tombstone, and he tore his shoulder.
Ugh.
So, but he was cool as shit. We talked to him. He's like, "I'll be back a couple months," this and that. Sure enough, he was. So it was good experience for 40 bucks.
I know. I think that's what I miss is when you can get some of those. And I know they got to pay their stuff, but it's like, oh, that's where I sound like my old man too. I'm like, I know I'm getting close to. I know I'm gonna hit 40 next year too, but like, I mean, I definitely miss the. We went to Royal Rumble. I think I like Royal Rumble 2011. I don't think I paid more than $100 for all of us to sit in the nosebleeds. We didn't care because we just. I finally got the last of the big four on my list. I finally got my
Right.
Royal Rumble, and of course it was one friggin' Alberto Del Rio one. But at least I finally saw.
Correct.
And then another thing, obviously, another thankfully, I hope when the Royal Rumble for not this year but 2026, I'm so glad we won't miss that this year because I feel like we're missing again on the cruise because they keep planning it at the same time we're on the damn cruise.
Right. Right. So yeah, we'll get to actually do it for once. Of course, I figure, kind of like we people have, they have the main or the Rumble parties and stuff. I think it kind of adds a little fun to the cruise too. I mean, I don't do it just because I'm not that worried we're on the cruise. This is I can watch the Rumble when I get home.
It was great for the airport. We had to wait like 5 hours.
That's true, because that's when I saved it for too. Because I was around some people where I did get to see bits and pieces, but then as I was doing that though, I kept catching myself then wanting to watch their fucking phone and not paying attention to everything that was going around me. So it's like, just tell me who wins or something, or
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
You're like, I'll hear about it
you're
in
like,
5 minutes.
well, yeah, because it was like they're like, well, Jordan Grace just came out and this and this. I'm like, well, fuck, now you're getting me involved in this. I don't want to be involved in that, like 'cause that sounds cool now. I'm here. Let me do this. I already paid for it.
Right. No. I.
Oh, I was thinking, we
Yeah.
forget the Pac Claudio
Oh my
Wheeler?
God, we did. Yeah, we should
Okay,
go into wrap up with. I forgot about that one. Wow.
I was thinking we were getting close to that point. That's why I wanted to bring that up. So
Yeah, that was it's interesting private party teaming up with Commander. I thought that was kind of interesting choice, but I like it. But
it is different.
Yuta came out of the face tunnel. Pac and Claudio came out of the heel tunnel, so Yuta's definitely conflicted here.
But then he got punched or whatever and kind of went
Just
back BCC again.
yeah,
Got all fucking
went ballistic on private party. So it's like, ugh. I think this is going to play into the Bryan story. I think this is why I don't think Mox is going to win. I think Yuta's going to stop Mox from winning.
I think so too. I'm with you on that because yeah. And then what do you think about Private Party being in this little spotlight? I'm pretty happy for them. I mean, they're
Long
cruise
time.
veterans, they've been what, three?
Three
I
cruises,
mean,
yep.
not between both of them, because I know didn't we have one where we had Isaiah but didn't have Mark?
Yeah, I think the third one only had Isaiah.
Okay, okay. But yeah, so I'm really happy to see them because they did get some pushes after the cruises, but this has probably been their biggest, I think, in certain ways.
Yeah, because they beat the Bucks in 2019 at Dynamite. and then the Matt Hardy family office just kind of and injuries just kind of derailed. I mean, it was just a house of cards. It was an injury and bad booking, and it just
Right.
I think Mark Quinn was gone so long that people kind of forgot about him, which is a shame. But it is interesting to think about. I like that they broke his hand with a hammer. Like Moxley's, it's interesting. I'm curious because I don't think we've seen where this is going to go, and a lot of people say it's Shane McMahon. I'm a little worried, but after
Yeah, I
watching
don't
this doc,
know.
after watching this documentary, it seems like Shane's the only level-headed one in that entire family.
That's fair. That's fair. Oh, and the other one I was going to mention for tonight wasn't, didn't Anna Jay, did Anna Jay, was that tonight?
Rampage, she came back. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I couldn't
Oh, you're
remember
fine.
which one. I got confused on this.
But yeah, no, she went to Stardom and she came back and she looks more fluid in the ring. Even Osprey was talking about how she's moving different in the ring and she's working different. And like we were saying earlier, the people going off to Japan, it's helping because they're getting different styles. And I think Anna's got all the potential in the world.
Oh yeah, because I think that was what she really needed to, was some of it wasn't her lack of talents or anything else, but like you said, the fluidity issues. And it wasn't all the time, but I think really when you go to Japan, I think your fundamentals and basics really get worked super hard. And like you said, that just little bit of a change in style, it just makes it a little, well, for her, it gives her a little bit more realism, I think, in certain ways.
I think too, it helps they work stiffer. I know
Hmm.
it sounds bad, but we have a friend named Jonathan we talked to. He wrestles, and I had talked to him last year. And one of the things he says he loves the New Japan style because he's like, I want to go in the ring. I want you to beat the shit out of me. He's like, I'm not saying I want you to put me in the ground. I'm not saying injure me, but I don't want you to love tap me. I want to feel it, and you just know that you're gonna feel it too. And if he has that, there's plenty of wrestlers out there like kick my ass because I'm gonna kick your ass.
Well, and like I talked about earlier, that helps. That helps because we know they're laying in chops. We know they're laying in some of these like thigh kicks, where they're kicking them in the legs or meteor spots of their body. We know those they lay in more. And that's what I need. I need that where you're laying something in where we're hearing the real sound versus some other type of sound enhancing, through a leg slap or whatever. I don't give a fuck. That's fine. But I like that when it's more realistic, like you said. It's not. I know that's something that doesn't do whatever, but I know it fucking hurts. You
Right.
know?
I know. I look at even back at like a Macho Man, and when he would he'd throw a forearm or he'd throw a punch. He didn't work loose. He worked snug, and you could see people back, and it was him and Rick Rude, and I'll never forget this match. And they're going at it, and Rick Rude hits him, and he just smirks, and he just full on just hits him in the chest. Rick Rude smiles and hits him harder back, and then
Hmm.
Vince is on commentary, and I just remember going, "They're really laying it in." And like in my brain as a kid, I'm like, "That doesn't look fake." My mom told me this is fake. That looks like they're really
Right.
hitting each other.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, and that's like guys like AJ Styles for one. I know he likes that style. He tells people to lay his shit in. Well, I mean, that's what sells it. I mean, give me some real with the suspending, There's a ton of other guys, Brian Danielson, Roddy, ton of these guys. I love that shit too. That's some of my Kyle O'Reilly, he's kind of stiff. I like that shit. Make it look good.
I
Doesn't
mean, when
have
you
to hurt them, but make it
when
look
you
good.
when you guys went to Dynasty, Brian and Osprey, I remember the pictures after the match, both their chests being red as shit,
Oh yeah.
and like you could see Osprey, we could see where you could see the kick pad marks on his ribs from Brian's
Hmm.
boots, and you just know he was like, "Thanks, bro."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was great. It was great.
They're crazy fuckers.
Yes, they are.
And I think too, just when you see it on the cruise, you can hear it. Like you said, you can hear that when it's really stiff versus like the thigh slap because you can't hear the thigh slaps as much. You can hear like like when Swerve when he would stomp, you could actually sometimes you could feel it when he would stomp their chest. Like he's not
Hmm.
trying to drive him into the ground, but he's not laying it in lightly.
Right. Right. And they're on the cruise too, so they're not even working as stiff. But certain moves, that's I feel like just how you have to do them.
Yep.
It's how you have to perform them. So
No, I agree, and it's been a fun week, and I know I'm looking forward. Hopefully, we can get you and Rachel on for Wrestle Dream, and what is it? It'll be a week from this week. Yeah, a week from this Saturday. So we have two
yeah.
weeks.
Yep, pretty much 2 weeks from right
Good.
now.
Because we gotta get you on. It felt weird without you for the all out predictions. So hopefully we can get you on for the Wrestle Dream predictions. The schedules align, and those are fun to do because it's funny. You and Rachel are always one way. Me and Emily are always one way. But lately, me and Jeff been simpatico. We've been on the
Yes, we
same page,
have.
and the women have been on the same page. So we're
Yep.
shifting.
Oh, like I said, and I love it too because it's just because Rachel's a fan, but Rachel isn't quite. She doesn't have some of the historic value, maybe I guess I'll say. She hasn't kept up with it over years. I've had my break period. She had a little wider break period, I think. So she doesn't know some stuff. So I like it because her perspective is so different in certain ways. So I
uh,
just really enjoy that. And
no,
we're split. It's great.
she's talked me into answer changing. Okay, like she's good because she's got me like I didn't think of it like
And
that.
that's what I mean. She really kind of goes off the cuff because you'll get me at times, and Emily will get me at times too with little things too, where it's like, ooh, your tinfoil hats will get me because I'm kind of leaning on the same page at certain times too, and then you'll say something else, and it's like, well, damn it, now he's got me. Oh,
Well, you enjoy that battle because
hey,
there is nothing like an
oh,
AEW pay per view.
yeah, they're awesome. They're a ton of fun.
If you're bored, you went to the wrong show.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
I
agreed.
but no, I want to thank you again, Jeff, for coming on. It was absolutely fun. Shooting the shit on Saturday. Hope to do these again on Saturdays again, and you're always welcome on. And we'll hopefully get those Wrestle Dream predictions. And here's a little news for everyone who is listening. There's a special interview coming soon that I'm just waiting to hear back on a date confirming, but there is a special interview with someone who has wrestled in multiple promotions, including AEW. So stay tuned for that
Oh, awesome. And
one.
thank you so much for having me again. I love coming on and chatting with you. So appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
special shout out since we're getting ready to go off the air, but we couldn't make it due to financial with going to Vegas and I got Florida coming up in the cruise. But I also wanted to wish Chris and Gina a happy wedding.
Absolutely.
They just got married in Kansas City today. Like I said, we were planning on going, but we were trying to kind of like we talked about. I'm like, man, I don't want to drive there, not really drink and have a good time and party with our cruise family, and then drive home. Ugh. So I kept trying to debate on ways to go. But anyway, I just wanted to give them a shout out. Congratulations. So happy that you finally got that figured out and achieved. Because I volunteered if they needed on the cruise, I was going to get ordained. I talked to him and I'm like, hey, if you need it and you want to get it
That's
on this
awesome.
cruise, I will fucking get ordained for you and I will do it on the cruise. And we'll skip Jericho and everybody else and six man and we'll just do it on our own.
Right?
So,
There's a
but
little
really,
chapel.
exactly. So just wanted to give them a shout out real quick. So thank you.
Absolutely. Chris and Gina, congratulations. Chris, don't screw it up.
Correct, Chris. Don't fuck
Gina's a
shit
great
up.
woman.
Exactly. Don't fuck shit up.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks again, guys. And until next time, always keep the
Keep
kayfabe.
the kayfabe.